Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya al mursaleen, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Respected brothers and sisters, welcome to this week's ICNA ILAF Understanding the Quran series. Inshallah, we'll be studying Surah Al-Hijr, verses 9 to 15. Today's session, inshallah, will be delivered by Dr. Shahid Rafiq.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا نحن نزلنا الذكر وإنا له لحافظون ولقد أرسلنا من قبلك في شيع الأولين وما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون كذلك نسلكه في قلوب المجرمين لا يؤمنون به وقد خلت سنة الأولين ولو فتحنا عليهم بابا من السماء فظلوا فيه يعرجون لقالوا إنما سكرت أبصارنا بل نحن قوم مسحورون رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Inshallah, we will cover Surah Hijr from ayah number 9 to 15. If you remember in the last program we did, there was an ayah in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned the condition of the mushrikeen, non-believers, when they were saying, وَقَالُوا يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِي نُزِّلَ عَلَيْهِ الذِّكْرُ إِنَّكَ لَمَجْنُونَ. They were challenging Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that this zikr, this reminder that has come on you, but we think that you are surely a madman, you are insane. So they were trying to degrade the message because they were trying to degrade the messenger, the one who is conveying them this message. So they were trying to create doubt about the message, the zikr, Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed one ayah in Surah Hijr which was not revealed to any prophet in the past. More than 124,000, more or less, messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this ayah number 9, was never revealed before this. And look at, it's not a coincidence. This ayah has come in Surah Hijr. You know, Quran actually gives us some tips so that we can reflect upon those tips, so we can have firm belief like a ainul yaqeen, belief like that we have seen the ghaib with our own eyes. Those signs, those ayahs we can find between the lines of Quran. And this is one of the ayah which basically gives us this chance that if you are a true believer, if your heart is open for the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you have surrendered yourself for hidayah, then hidayah will knock at your heart, and inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala you will be able to get the wisdom out of these ayahs. You know, Hijr in Arabic we say stone. And you might have heard this phrase, you know, something is written on a stone. When something is written on a stone means nobody can change. It's unchangeable. Nobody can alter. Nobody can corrupt if something is written on the stone. This ayah number 9, Inna nahnu nazzalna zikra wa inna lahu lahafizun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is answering the doubt of mushrikeen, non-believers, about this message and the messenger, that this zikr is revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah is the one who is going to protect this. It is certainly we who have revealed the reminder, and it is certainly we who will preserve it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not given that guarantee, assurance about any previous books, holy books, but about Quran, because this is the last message. This is the final revelation, hidayah for humanity up until the last human being will come on this planet. Allah says that this is the zikr, that Allah is the one who has revealed, and Allah is the one who will protect this Quran letter by letter, word by word. Not only that Allah will preserve the letters of Quran, Allah will preserve the meanings of the Quran, the message of Quran. And as I said, the beauty is that this ayah is coming in Surah Al-Hijr, which is the meaning, as I said, the Hijr is a stone. So subhanallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. For the people of, for wise people, if they just see a little, sign, that little sign is good enough for them. In Quran, Allah has not only shown us little signs, but big signs, that if we really have eyes to see and heart to, see and ears to hear, then wallahi, that these ayahs are good enough for our hidayah, for our guidance, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. Then in the next ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, after giving this glad tiding, and everybody knows that this Quran is preserved letter by letter, 1400 years. Look at the history of Quran, the story of Quran. Quran was written on stones, on leaves, on animal skins. Can you imagine that Quran was revealed over 23 years and getting preserved on these, things that very difficult to protect in that time and age? There was no library or computer or iPad or high-tech ways to preserve things. But look on the Quran, which is written on stone and leaves and skin of animals and the hearts of the people, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gathered this Quran, together, so that letter by letter, word by word, Quran is preserved, and nobody can challenge about the preservation, the purity. The Quran is as original as it was revealed on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in next few ayahs is giving comfort to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine if you are a sincere person, if you are honest person, if you are well-wisher or of somebody, and that person turns his back on you, he is trying to belittle you, he gives name, he calls name, and he basically is trying to degrade you, how much it hurts. I know prophets, they have bigger picture, but after all, prophets were human beings as well, best of the makhluk of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but after all, they were human beings as well. They had feelings as well. So Quran time and time again, gives them glad tidings that you are on the right path. Don't worry. Whatever they say, this is just for few days. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ فِي شِعِ الْأَوَّلِينَ. Indeed, we sent messengers before you, O Prophet, among the groups of early people. وَمَا يَأْتِيهِم مِّن رَّسُولٍ إِلَّا كَانُوا بِهِ يَسْتَهْزِئُونَ. But no messenger ever came to them without being mocked. So you are not the first messenger. They know this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent so many messengers, and you are one of them. But remember, whenever someone has come with the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the history, the tradition of people. They always do mockery of these prophets. They make fun of them. They call name. They try to degrade them. They belittle them. So don't feel bad and sad about their behavior and their reaction. And wallahi, this is true to this day. And this will be true till the last day on this planet. And as I have said before, look around us. There are so many good people, God-fearing people. They are our companions of Jannah. They want us to be part of Jannah. So they are our well-wishers. They come to us, they tell us, don't follow this path, because this is a path of destruction. This is the hidayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't get indulged in anything which goes to disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't get caught in your traditions. Don't become friend of shaitan. So many good people, they come around us and they try to teach us, they try to tell us, they're holding our hands, and they are not expecting anything in return from us. They are doing it sincerely just to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to fulfill their responsibilities. But look at our reaction, what we do at every level, at community level, at ummah level, at family level. Look at our reaction. Don't just get stuck that Quran is talking about 1400 years ago. Quran is talking to you and me what we do today in our own life with the message of Quran and the message of the messenger, my brothers and my sisters. So that is what we see. So this is also a message of hope for the people who are struggling in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That this is how the history has unfolded in the past. That whoever has called towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they were treated badly by the people who were disbelievers and also the people who had weak iman. Then in the next ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَذَلِكَ نَسْلُكُهُ فِي قُلُوبِ الْمُجْرِمِينَ. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this is how we allow disbelief to steep into the hearts of the wicked. Very interesting ayah. You might have come across sometime some people that you present to them ayah of Quran. You present to them some sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you can see the discomfort of their heart on their faces. Allah makes their heart to feel like disgusting. So that feeling could be, you can see on their faces. On one hand, for mu'mineen, the same ayah will become reason of comfort, sakina. But the same ayah for the non-believers, people who reject, makes them restless, makes them uncomfortable. Like shaitan has grabbed them and they are restless, and you can see all that is reflecting on their faces. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Naslukuhu, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala penetrates, these ayahs in the hearts of qulubil mujrimeen. The mujrimeen, they're criminals in the hearts, because Allah is the one who makes them uncomfortable, disgusting, with the same ayahs which give sakina to the mu'mineen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. La yu'minuna bihi wa qad khalas sunnatul awwaleen. They would not believe in the Quran despite the many examples of those destroyed before. They have seen examples, they see examples in front of them. People of past have done same, that they will reject, and Allah had destroyed them. Same sunnah they are following, same trends they are following, same path they are following, and their condition is such. In next two ayahs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens the condition of their heart further. As I said, people who are really sincerely looking for hidayah, looking for guidance, for them there are enough signs. For them, little sign is good enough. But people who don't want hidayah, they are insisting on rejection of haqq. Look what happens to them when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about them. وَلَوْ فَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ بَابًا مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ فَظَلُّوا فِيهِ يَعْرُجُونَ. And even if we opened for them a gate to heaven, through which they continue to ascend. In Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for these non-believers, if He shows this sign, a miracle, that He opens the doors of heaven and they continually ascend towards the sky, towards the heaven, what will be their answer? After seeing such a clear sign, because their hearts are crooked, because they are not sincere towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so they cannot see what they are supposed to see. They cannot hear what they are supposed to hear, because they have chosen path of destruction. So even if they will see with their own eyes, and they will experience, and they will ascend towards the heavens continuously. But look at the Quran, what they will say, to each other. They will say, لَقَالُوا إِنَّمَا سُكِّرَتْ أَبْصَارُنَا بَلْ نَحْنُ قَوْمٌ مَسْحُورُونَ. They will say, after all this, still they would say, our eyes have truly been dazzled. In fact, we must have been bewitched. So after even seeing the clear signs, they will not believe in their eyes. لَقَالُوا إِنَّمَا سُكِّرَتْ أَبْصَارُنَا. Our eyes have been dazzled, and our bal nahnu qawmun mashurun, and we are the people bewitched. Subhanallah. This is the condition of the non-believers. So I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us tawfiq. When ayahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are presented to us, any command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presented to us, we should immediately, without any hesitation, we should accept and we should follow. Because we had seen enough examples, as I have said in my previous program, this is the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This universe is a madrasa, is an institution, and history represents like a laboratory. You have a lab where you do experiment, you come up with some conclusion, and those conclusions help you, those results help you to design your future. In this universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved the history, the lessons of history, the message of history for us in Quran. So we don't have to follow the hard way that we do experiment and fail and learn. Rather, we should learn from the experience of the people of past, that only people who are successful, wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr, illa allazina amanu wa amilu salihat, wa tawaso bil haqqi, wa tawaso bil sabr. That we should have firm belief. And as we discussed last time also, don't get deceived from the deceptions of this dunya. The glitter of this dunya you see in the hands of non-believers. The power you see in the hands of non-believers. Allah gives them this space and allowance so they can dig their own hole deeper and deeper and deeper, so they will have no hope in the future. So don't get disheartened. The non-believers are the one, they always have prosperity. You see how things are for them, and look at the believer. The true believer is the one, even if he has nothing of this dunya, but he has the biggest treasure of dunya, and that is sakina of his heart. That is pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is being successful in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on day of judgment by himself, Allah will be happy with him and he will be happy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq that we stay on the straight path, Sirat-e-Mustaqim, until our last breath, and we do our part. We do our part in this universe. We do feel colors in this life, in this dunya, what Allah has commanded and how Allah has commanded. So we will be successful. Wa akhiru dawana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Shahid. So inshallah, we'll move to the Q&A section. For those of you in the audience who have questions, please submit your questions in writing through the platform that you're using. Inshallah, the first question, we started off the verses today talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's promise to preserve the Quran. Can you speak a little bit about how the Quran has been preserved and the importance of the written preservation versus the oral preservation?
Yeah. In the Quran, as we all know, the first time the Quran was collected together and in the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Quran was in the first, not in the book form, but collected together all the pieces of Quran. And Quran was preserved, as I said, through written scripture and through memorization. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his time made a committee to gather, after the incident when there are many Hufaz, they lost their life in one of the battle. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his own life put this effort together to gather all pieces of Quran, and there was very scientific method adopted that they have to have more than one witness for each and every ayah of Quran. And it happened in the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Prophet himself in his life, as you all know, that he used to do dora of Quran. He used to read Quran to Jibreel alayhi salam in every Ramadan, but in last Ramadan he did it twice. So in his own life he guided the murattabin, the people who were gathering the wahi, the ayahs of Quran, which part will come first and which part will come next. And as you know, many of the scholars have said, about huruf-e-muqatta'at, that letter by letter, however Prophet ﷺ, if he says alif, lam, ra, so people have written without knowing what is the meaning of it, exactly what it is. When Prophet ﷺ did not say Bismillah Rahman Rahim in the beginning of Surah Tawbah, so nobody has written Bismillah Rahman Rahim in the beginning of Surah Tawbah. So exactly word by word, letter by letter, the Quran you and me we have in our hand was compiled in front and gathered in front in the presence of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was given a better shape, a written shape, book shape, in the time of Abu Bakr Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, and then later on further development in the time of Usman Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. But this is the same copy. As you might have gone to Turkey, you might have seen the copy of Quran which Hazrat Usman was reading when he got martyred. Same copy, letter by letter. And even if you go in and find in museums all around the world, they have collected the old copies of Quran. Doesn't matter, Quran was collected from Africa or South America, you will not find any discrepancy. There was a big study institution was built, in Germany, which was destroyed in World War II, which the goal of that institution was to find discrepancies in Quran, but they failed to find a single discrepancy. So this is a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Journey of Quran itself is amazing. Journey of Quran itself is a miracle. And what you and me are holding in our hands, this Quran has, after 1400 years of journey, exactly the same what was revealed on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because this is a miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And miracle of previous Anbiya were gone with the Anbiya, but miracle of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will stay among us up until the last human being on this planet, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. As we talk about the miracle of the Quran, we as believers are supposed to be in awe of the signs of Allah, including the Quran. What is your advice on how we can be more in awe of the Quran?
I think last time I mentioned one thing. Our deen is all about decision. That we have to make a decision. Iman is what? Iman is a decision. That I have a faith, okay, that this is the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I have a faith that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the last messenger. This is my decision that whatever Quran will say is true. Whatever Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will say is true. Now, when I have accepted this as the truth, then my life should reflect that truth. That is the second part, which is more important. First part itself has its beauty, its importance, but then the second part, that we should be, symbol, example of the Quran in our practical life. So that's how I see, and that is the best way of dawah also. That if we really own Quran, if we really have faith in Quran, then our life should become passive dawah, which is the best way of dawah, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair. One of the things we covered in these verses, and you explained very nicely, mashallah, is that there are some people who do not want hidayah, and therefore they miss all of the benefits and the hidayah that comes from the Quran. How can we better understand these people, and how should we approach dawah to such people who inherently are not looking for hidayah?
Our approach as a da'i should be that we should not close the door of dawah up until the last breath of that person. So dai is always looking forward. Okay, as a dai, we should not be judgmental about people. Okay, these are the people, maybe Allah has sealed their heart. No matter what we will do, even if we see clear signs that these people will not accept, so we should, as a dai, we should never lose hope. And this is one of the beauty we see in the life of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. No matter what Abu Jahl was doing, Prophet was still praying for his iman. No matter what enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam are doing, but he will still look forward. They might accept this deen. So I think, yes, from history, because in past, if you go in past, you can have some conclusions. But when we move forward towards future, we should always keep window of hope open. And as many people have said, our relationship is like a doctor and patient. So we hate the disease, not the patient. So like doctor tries up until last second how he can save the life. Same way, you never know how people can turn around. Their life could change. And Quran is a witness, history is a witness that many people, they reach to the last stage of their life and all of a sudden they change. So as a dai, our job is keep trying, constant effort, always have hope, and keep people's hope as well, up. So don't get discouraged and disheartened. Our responsibility is to keep doing dawah, knock the hearts of the people, invite them towards the true path, and then inshallah results are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our job is continuous effort, inshallah, with positive note, without getting judgmental, without cutting people from us. Rather, our approach should be all inclusive, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. So, you emphasize in your answer the importance of not giving up on any specific individual. Everybody is a potential Muslim, and we have to continue to strive to give them dawah. But in terms of methodology, for somebody who says, I'm not interested in any guidance in my life, any divine guidance in my life, is there anything from a methodology point of view with respect to dawah that we should adopt with such individuals?
I was reading one story. One of the great grandchild of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and somebody accepted Islam, because of his dawah. When this person was going back to his home, he gave him piece of advice. His mom was alone at home, to whom he was returning. He said, don't tell your mom that you have become Muslim, number one. Number two, with your action, do more khidmah of your mother. So she will ask you what has changed in you that you are a different person. So many times, we try to change people, with our words. Such person, the one you are mentioning, that person need still good relationship, that you are humble in front of him. You are always available if he need help. If he is acting in a very irresponsible way, you still stay calm. So that behavior, that conduct one day pays off. Same thing happened to that mother. After a few months, few years, she realized that this person is a different person. And she asked him, what has changed? Then he said, I met somebody in Medina, and he invited me to this religion, and she immediately accepted, Islam. So for that person, I think best thing is still stay in touch, show best of you to him, and inshallah, and make dua for him. Make dua for him. Many times, we really rely more on our efforts. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who changes hearts of the people. Even for your worst enemy, like Abu Jahl, Prophet was still praying. Even for your worst enemy today, in our time and age, you can name 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the worst people. But today, my wife was reminding me, this morning, we should pray for them. We should make dua for them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them hidayah. So you never know, Allah can change people's heart. Their hearts are in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our conduct, our prayers, our behavior with them, without getting judgmental, without closing the door, inshallah, one day, hopefully, if we will not be able to change them, at least we will be able to soften their heart. And inshallah, maybe if we are not able to change, maybe after us somebody will change. And this is the tradition of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Look at Taif, history of Taif. Throughout the life of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he was always looking forward. If this generation will not accept, maybe the next generation will accept.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Shahid. Very insightful responses there, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all tawfiq to appreciate the awe of the Quran and be able to invite others to the hidayah through Islam. With that, we'll end today's session. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wal asr. Innal insana lafi khusr. Illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat. Wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Sadaqallahu al-azim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahu Akbar.